What's up people, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video here at Most Amazing Top 10. Now what's more mysterious than someone you don't know anything about? Better yet, what's more mysterious than someone who doesn't know anything about themselves? Now they say the past teaches you everything you need to know about the present, and I'd quote someone wise who said that, and I'm sure they did, but I also just kind of made that up right now, so there's that. But who are these people who don't know anything? How dare they walk around like big question marks among the most curious species on Earth? Let's find out. I feel like I just introed an Animal Planet documentary, but either way, this is the top 10 scary, mysterious people without a past. Starting us off with number 10 is Man of the Hole, or the Last Tribesman, or the Loneliest Man on Earth, whichever one you fancy really. I tell you his real name, but we don't know what it is, nor do we know much about his backstory. He was first found in 1996 living alone in the Amazon rainforest in an area surrounded by cattle ranches, and no one can recognize what language he speaks, so experts have assumed he's the last living member of his indigenous tribe. If you want to know which tribe that is, I can't tell you that either, but I can tell you where he got his name from. In the man's houses, which he builds from straw and giant leaves, he makes it a point to dig 6 feet deep holes in each one, hence Man of the Hole. We don't know why he does it. My guesses are it's maybe to hide in or trap animals in, I don't really know. He even has his own little garden where he grows corn and pawpaw fruit, so the man really is low-key living the isolated organic dream. By 2007, the government actually made it illegal to develop or even trespass on the man's territory, and as of 2014, he's still alive and doing him, really. He's kind of living happily ever after if you ask me, but don't go too close to him because he will most likely fire an arrow at you, very much ending your happily ever after. Coming in at number 9 is Jerome. Now if you're from Nova Scotia, Canada, then you probably already know about Jerome, but if you don't, sit tight because we're about to go on a ride. The origin story of Jerome differs depending on which version you've listened to, but the gist is that in September of 1863, a young boy was walking along Sandy Cove when he met a man who was freezing. The man also had no legs, just, you know, as you do. The boy didn't want to leave this helpless man alone, so he brought him home to Digby Neck and realized he didn't speak any English. Not only did he not speak English, he didn't speak period. He communicated in growls and barks, and when someone asked him who he was, he murmured something like Jerome, so they just called him that. When they took him to the doctor, they discovered his amputations were actually fresh since they had dressings on them and they were done by a surgeon rather than accidentally. They tried many languages on him and he didn't know any of them, nor did he want to learn any of them. He had no clue where he came from or what happened to him or why his legs were even amputated. Like, how do you not know why you don't have legs? He continued living with the family for 7 years and then got sent to live with another family who used to charge admission from people who wanted to look at him. That's just rude and savage. At number 8 we have Bella. So in 1943, in the middle of World War II, a few boys were playing in Hagley Wood in Starbridge, England when they found a human skull in the trunk of a witch hazel tree. Freaking the hell out, they called the police, who rushed to the scene to find even more surprises. They found a near complete skeleton of a woman inside the tree along with a wedding ring, clothes and a shoe. After scouring the area around the tree, they also managed to uncover a severed hand that had been buried. She was found with taffeta stuffed in her mouth, which implied she had asphyxiated about 1.5 years prior. Whoever did her dirty, honestly. Since the war was still in full-fledged, identifying the body was slow and tough. They had no info about her other than her height, her age and her hair color. And last time I checked, there are many 35-year-old 5-foot-something brunettes in our world, me being one of them in like 13 years. Even after going through 3,000 missing persons cases, there was still no match, and that's when things took a turn. From 1943 onwards, messages started appearing around Hagley like who put Labella down the witch elm, who put Bella in the witch, and side note, witch hazel trees and witch elms are mistaken for each other quite a bit, just in case you were worried about the whole tree thing. And the messages were consistent and ongoing, and the last one was found in 1999, which is literally 50 years after her body was found. Gone but never forgotten, clearly. Someone knew who she was, they just weren't saying anything. I love it when the plot thickens. Filling our number 7 slot is Green Boots. Now this one is a toughie because the body of this man was found on Mount Everest, and of course there are literally 200 frozen human bodies on Everest at any given time, so for you to stand out you really have to put in the groundwork. Get it? Either way, around 27,900 feet up, many expeditions have spotted Green Boots in his final resting place inside Green Boots' cave. Yes, they literally named the cave after him as well. He was found laying on his right side, face hidden with bright green boots, and he lay there from approximately 2001 to 2014. 13 years no one found him. Imagine what his family went through all that time. Ironically enough, another climber died in this cave in 2006. He'd been lying there in a hypothermic state for hours, and many climbers actually passed him, but they just assumed he himself was Green Boots and was already dead. There are many theories as to who he actually was. Many believe he was an Indian climber called Sawang Palja, who was wearing green boots the day he went missing on Everest back in 1996. By 2014 though, the body vanished, so either it got buried or removed, and we never found out anything about the person. So that's just fantastic. Now at number 6 is Monsieur Chouchani. Honestly, I feel like there's more information about Chouchani than there is anyone else on this list, and even that information is little to none. Monsieur Chouchani, also known as Sushani, was a Jewish teacher known for his extremely talented students, one of which went on to win a Nobel Peace Prize. But the man himself was a mystery. His students said he was hairy and dirty and looked like a hobo turned clown or clown turned hobo, neither of which are complimentary, just FYI. Many even said his appearance was unpleasant and repugnant, but he was still one of their most influential teachers. Despite being a genius philosopher, no one knows much about him. All we really know is that after World War II, he lived in Paris for a while, then he disappeared for a few years, and then he popped up in Israel, then magically went back to Paris, then went to South America, where he died. Literally, other than where he lived at certain points, no one knows anything else. We know he was born in 1895, but where? God knows. Even his two names aren't his real names, they're just nicknames, so we don't even know what the man is bloody called, for God's sake. Coming in at number 5 is John Doe number 24. Now this one is more sad than it is scary, so ready the tissues. Back in October of 1945, a deaf teenager was found walking around Jacksonville, Illinois, but the strange part was he wasn't able to sign, speak, or communicate with anyone. All he kept doing was writing the name Lewis on a piece of paper, so people kind of figured either his name was Lewis or he was looking for a Lewis. That mystery sadly never got solved, as he was admitted into the state's mental health system after courts failed to locate anyone who knew him. Imagine not being able to find a single person that knows one person. Like, where had he been living his whole life up until that point? Anyway, from the title you can imagine when he entered the system, Lewis was discarded and he was branded as John Doe number 24. He was abused in the system for years and years, and if that wasn't bad enough, he actually went blind due to his diabetes later on. After that happened, he just jumped from nursing home to nursing home for the next 30 years until he eventually died in 1993. By the time he did, nobody had any idea who he was still, and during his graveside service, when the crowd was asked if anyone had any words to say about him, no one did. How tragic is that? He just came and went and no one even batted an eyelid. At number 4 is the Mad Trapper of Rat River. A man going by the name of Albert Johnson arrived in Fort McPherson back in 1931. He was questioned by the RCMP since they thought he was shady as hell and had a Scandinavian accent, so clearly he wasn't Canadian. Either way, he built a cabin on Rat River and started messing with other people's animal traps. After complaining to the police about it, they figured it must be the shady new guy in town, so they went to his cabin. The first time they went, Johnson didn't even talk to them. The second time they went, he shot one of them straight through his door, and the third time the RCMP brought dynamite to blast him out of the cabin. Took them long enough. Either way, even though the cabin collapsed, Johnson managed to escape into the wilderness. Mind you, it was probably minus 40 degrees Celsius at that point. He led them on a 2-week chase before he went up a cliffside alone and disappeared. They eventually did find him and shot him dead, but realized the man had literally traveled 85 miles away from his cabin in 3 days, which, if I do the maths, means he was burning 10,000 calories a day. That's insane. Even after his death, no one even knows who the hell he was. Albert Johnson wasn't even his real name. We know he's Scandinavian, that's for sure, but that doesn't really narrow it down, does it? Filling our number 3 slot is The Boy Who Cried, Kaspar. Now most people believe this one is a total hoax, but you guys can make your own judgment. Back in 1828, a teen boy was found wandering the streets of present-day Nuremberg, Germany. Many people stopped to help him find his way, and the boy literally only had 2 letters on him and nothing else. One saying he was raised from infancy and had been tutored in reading, writing, etc., but was not allowed to ever leave the house. And the other letter was from his mother saying his name was Kaspar Hauser and his cavalryman dad was dead. Both letters were in the same handwriting though, which was a bit shady, but no one really had any doubts. All he would keep saying was he wished to be a cavalryman and kept shouting horse randomly, but would cry if asked anything else. He admitted he was locked in a dark cell his whole life and ate nothing but bread and water, which is why even when he got free, all he ate was nothing but bread and water. His caretaker would even drug him in order to cut his hair and nails. But in red flag number 2, Kaspar didn't seem to be malnourished or have rickets for someone who was locked in a cell. The evidence just wasn't adding up. He was exceptionally good at writing and reading for someone who had barely learnt it, and he soon started getting hurt. He had a head wound and claimed his caretaker randomly came and gave it to him. 6 months later, a gun went off in his room and he had a bleeding head wound saying he dropped the gun by accident. By 1833 was his last lie. He claimed a stranger had given him a bag and then stabbed him, and when onlookers and his caretakers assumed he had actually self-inflicted the wound, it ended up killing him, and despite all his bullshit, no one ever figured him out. Now at number 2 is Susie McKinnon. I think Susie is the first person on this list that's actually part of the 21st century. Better late than never, am I right? Anyway, Susie's case is actually very interesting because she's led a pretty normal life. We know where she was born, where she grew up, she's currently married to Eric Green. Her life really isn't a mystery like a lot of people on this list, but it is a mystery to herself. McKinnon is the first person on earth who has a condition called severely deficient autobiographical memory, meaning she knows a bunch of stuff about her life, but she can't actually mentally relive any of it. She has zero episodic memory, so she can't actually flash back to things like we would. Imagine our memories being a book. She only has the contents page and nothing else. She can't even remember her own wedding or the cruises her and her husband went on, the ornaments she has around her house. She just has no idea where they even came from. Like, imagine remembering nothing but everything at the same time. She says, I kind of just guess what a lot of my experiences were like. I feel like she's gonna make me cry now. How sad is that? You have to guess what your experiences are like. RT if you cry every time. And finally, at number 1 is the ISDAL woman. This was the moniker given to an unknown woman found dead in ISDAL Valley in Norway back in November of 1970. Police were sure she had committed suicide, but the clues found completely contradict that. A man and his daughters were hiking in the area one day when they noticed a really weird burning smell. 2 seconds later, they found the charred body of a woman. When the police finally got there, she was unrecognizable. Near her body, they found liqueur, a lot of clothes, a hat doused in petrol, and any and all identifying marks were removed. Her fingerprints had even been sanded off, so they couldn't even identify her that way. A few days later, they found 2 of her suitcases at a railway station, and there was absolutely nothing inside that could help identify her. An autopsy later revealed she swallowed 50 to 70 sleeping pills and then got poisoned by carbon monoxide, meaning she was actually still alive when she was burning. Sketches of what she may have looked like based on her hotel stay was circulated internationally, but to no avail, and alas, the ISDAL woman remains a mystery. And that's it for today's video, guys. I feel like it's been a whirlwind of a journey, honestly. Let me know which stories you had heard before, which one was your favorite, and how your day is going. I'd love to know. As always, I'm Eamon Hassan, and I'll see you next time. Bye!